My mom always dressed me like a knight, not some drunk from the pub. She wanted me to be a warrior, just like my father. But my father, he gave his heart to another woman, one from across the river, a place with walls built on waterfalls. Their side is so advanced. At night, I can see white lights, like candles, dotting their landscape. They have huge barns where they exploit goats and sheep for their skins, milk, and fur. Here, on our side, we don't have those tools, those structures. We're not blessed with such things. Their laws are against ours. I've watched them for years. I can hear the cows crying, a sound from hell, but I can't see what's happening. I assume they use large, cruel tools to exploit the animals, far worse than anything we have, and I assume my father works there. I assume he has a fortune, a golden crown, even. That's why I never want him in my life. The memory of him being so close, almost touching, and then just leaving. It's too much. I've studied their side for years, but I don't know when it all began. I asked my mother, the elders, but they just said, find a historian. We don't have education, only the experience life gives us. Finding a historian proved impossible. They were right. We were just like them. No education, but that wouldn't stop me. I had to make my father explain himself. I decided to build a boat. I went deep into the forest, away from everyone, cutting down trees and catching hares for supper. This was a new life of isolation, a break from the daily pattern. It took less than 2 days to build the boat. As I was about to leave, I wondered, am I still hearing sheep noises, or is this a dream? I suddenly woke up, the fire still crackling beside me. My foot was dangerously close to the embers. I saw the ripped corner of a drawing I'd made of my family. My uneasy sleep had torn it. Since I was awake, it was time to go. I rode about 15 feet from the shore when a light shot upwards like a star, then exploded, illuminating everything around me. I heard a shout in a strange tongue. The light was blinding. I had to row backward. A figure stepped out of the light, heavily armed, demanding to know my business. I kept rowing, panicked. Then, a loud bang. The boat started taking on water. I was trapped. God, why won't they let me go? I cried. I heard them shout again. Something about a warning shot and an emperor's territory. The water rushed in, and I was drowning. The world went from blinding white to inky black. As my arms reached up, a hand grabbed mine. It was my father's face. He pulled me into his boat. I heard him speak in that same foreign language to his companion. They lifted me into a carriage. I had no energy left to fight. They threw me into a dungeon. Skulls, real human skulls, lined the walls. I was terrified, thinking I'd die there alone. I couldn't sleep, the dripping water echoing in the silence. The door shrieked open. A guard threw a leafy cabbage on the floor and yelled, Officer, eat up. He treated me like a horse. An hour later, another man came in. Staff, Junge, Zeit, fragen zu beantworten. Raus. Get up, kid. Time for questions. Get out. What was happening? Why couldn't I understand them? They took me to another room, this one filled with menacing machines. The air smelled of wine and honey. A man at a table stared me down and offered me a glass. I refused, but they forced the bitter, honey-tasting liquid down my throat. He kicked me again and again. I cried out in pain. He got close, his breath reeking of tobacco and sweat. Where bist you? He growled. Who are you? His eyes found the torn family crest on my tunic. Read, speak. My voice was a dry whisper. Who am I talking to? He put a tie around my neck and dragged me out, through hallways filled with people in strange, elegant clothes. We stopped at a large wooden door. Herein, a voice called from inside. I was shoved into the room. Behind a massive desk sat a man who looked exactly like my father. My heart stopped. The catcher spoke, and I caught the words, from the river. The man behind the desk, this doppelganger, leaned forward. Ah, the river runner, he said. Then, slowly, he dot, crossed, dot, boundary, dot, without Kaiser's permit. The captor translated his next question. Shall we hang him for trespassing, Herr Baron? My blood ran cold. The Baron's sentence was translated. I was to stand on the castle rooftops, exposed to the sun, until the rain came. After 3 hours of rain, I would be released on one condition: leave Prussia immediately and never return. As I was led to the roof, I prayed to the old gods to spare my life and reveal the truth. The rain began, a torrential downpour. I huddled behind a water barrel, waiting. Suddenly, a blinding flash, a deafening roar. Lightning struck a chimney nearby. My ears rang, my sight blurred. When I came to the chimney was shattered, a window opened, and a dark figure appeared. Lucky bastard, he muttered, then punched me in the stomach, dragging me back inside. I was in a room with shelves of books and tactical gear, surrounded by people in black uniforms. This thing was alive in Inferno Alley, the shadow said. Another man, with a spiked hat, stepped forward. What were you doing alive in Inferno Alley? Were 317 people burned to death yesterday? I didn't understand the language, or what he was talking about. I was just looking for my father. They dragged me out, put me on a wagon, and drove me miles away, dumping me in a grassy field. My hands were red from the cuffs. I stood up, cautiously surveying the area. Then I heard a voice, in a French dialect I could barely understand. Bonjour, jeune Jam. An old farmer was walking towards me. Going somewhere, son. Are you lost? I was weak. Yes, I'm lost. I don't know where I am. He looked at me, puzzled. Son, you speak French, but you look like you've come from Prussia. Were you a captive? I told him my story. The boat, the light, the castle, the man who looked like my father. He listened intently. What destination have you in mind? I live in Saint-Cénary-le-Grès, I told him. His face showed surprise. That's a mighty long way, young fellow, especially for a Norman. By the looks of you, you've had a rough time with those You're a bondsman, like me, but you're welcome here, in Villers-le-Château, Prussians. So that's who they were. No wonder I couldn't understand their barbaric language. I asked him how far it was to my home. He just smiled. That's a perplexing question under this hot sun. Why don't we walk through the garden and discuss it? For the first time in what felt like forever, the warm summer breeze felt like a promise of rest, a chance to finally heal.